Hey,
Welcome.
thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. Have you ever done anything like this before?
No,
No?
this is my
Okay.
first time. A little
It's,
nervous, but
yeah.
also excited to share my story.
So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Tabitha. I was born in Washington, close to the Seattle area, and that's where my mom is from. And let's see, I am a mom of four. I am a new birth and postpartum doula in this area, so the Northwest Louisiana area. I
Nice.
just started that. And
Congratulations.
got my first birth client, so I'm super excited about that. And then, let's see, I moved here to Louisiana whenever I was about 10. We moved to the Ruston area, and then I moved to Homer, graduated from there in 2009, and then sometime after that moved to Minden, and that's where I am, and hopefully there to stay because I am tired of moving. I've been moving my entire life. So my memory is a little foggy. My therapist told me that was my brain's way of kind of coping with everything, is just blacking it all out so that I don't have to remember all the traumatic events that happened. So I have bits and pieces of my childhood. It's mostly like the most traumatic memories that I carry. So as one of my first memories, I want to say I was about 4-ish. And again, I don't know the exact ages. These are kind of just what I'm remembering that I might have been about 4. Let's see, my mom was never there. I don't even remember ever meeting my dad. He lives in Utah, and maybe that's where he was at the time. I don't know where my mom was. I've met her recently in person. She came down here, and she says she was trying to find us a place to live together. I don't necessarily really believe that. I think maybe she was drinking, possibly doing drugs as well. But she left us with her mother, so my grandmother, and she was a drunk. And when she would drink, she was violent and abusive. So that's who pretty much raised us. And then my aunt and my uncle, so it was my mom's sister. I remember us going to her house a lot. And that's one of my earliest real traumatic memories. So I have an older brother, and a younger sister. And I remember one morning, I was at my uncle's house, and they have 3 kids. So 2 of them were younger than me, and one of them was older. And I remember it was my sister, me, and their youngest daughter. We were all sleeping one morning, and my uncle came in there, and he picked us up one by one out of the bed and touched us inappropriately. Oh, and then put us all in the bathtub. And I just remember, like, at the time I knew it wasn't normal, but I didn't really understand what was going on because I was about 4. My sister is 2 years younger than me, so she was about 2, and then my cousin was probably about my sister's age. So anyways, just threw us all in the bathtub and then just left us in the tub like nothing ever happened. And I was just like, oh, okay. This is what you're supposed to do? Like you don't understand those kinds of things. Yeah. But I just knew it was wrong, but I didn't tell anybody just because I was scared. And he was, like what most abusers say, this is our little secret,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Don't tell anybody or else you're going to get in trouble, make you feel guilty about it. So I knew it was wrong, but I didn't understand the extent of how wrong it was. And then it was about the age of 7 whenever we had started telling our friends about everything that was going on with our grandmother, because she would drink a lot and then she would hit us. And then we would go to school, and I remember telling one of our friends all the time about everything that was happening, and I was like, but don't tell anybody. you can't tell anybody. You have to, I just need someone to talk to, but you can't tell anybody. Well, of course, thankfully, they finally told the teacher. I remember we were in class, and it was really scary, too, because I don't know if there's a better way of going about the way they did it, but it was a little embarrassing for me because the police came in, and then a social worker came in, and they took me out of the classroom. And so there was like, and they were taking me down the hall, and like everybody was just watching us get in the police officer's vehicle.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I feel like they could have done that more privately.
More discreet way.
Yeah. It was that part. That was like one of the things that I remember that was really traumatic. We were split up, me and my siblings, into our first foster home. So that was also very scary, being just, you're just ripped away, and then you don't even get to stay with your siblings, the people, the only people that you feel comfortable with. And luckily, I did get a really good first foster home. They were really, really sweet. And eventually, we got placed in another foster home together.
Sorry to interrupt you. With your first foster home, how long were you there for?
I'm not sure, but I don't remember it really being very long. Like, because I just have like bits and pieces, and then like the timeline is a little bit harder to kind of piece together. I want to say it was probably only a few months before they found us somewhere to go where we were all together. That foster home wasn't a good one though, because there's a lot of people who get in it for the money. I mean, I don't think you really make a whole lot of money as a foster parent, but there's still, some of those people that get in it for it. And we were really severely malnourished.
For the second foster home that
you
were?
just from living with my grandmother.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And sorry, I'm trying to piece it together and make it make sense. And so just feel free to interrupt me if I'm missing a piece in there. So we were really malnourished, and I remember us getting in trouble all the time because we would be hungry, and they didn't really want to feed us. So we would wait till they went to bed, and we would go in there and we would sneak food. And then we would get in so much trouble. And we had a basement bedroom, and they would just lock us up in there when we would get in trouble. And they'd be like, I basically felt like they didn't want to deal with us. So because we had all the trauma, and it's really hard taking in kids who have come from backgrounds like we did. So really, as a foster parent, you need to be someone who's understanding and knows how to cope with kids like that. And they definitely were not. They were kind of just a out of sight, out of mind kind of foster family.
So the second foster home is when they would put you in the basement, or was that your grandma?
No, that was the second foster home.
The second. Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
I guess I kind of skipped a whole lot of what led up to the foster homes. We had lived with my grandma for a while, and like I said, she had always drank. And then she would invite friends over as well. She had this one lady that was this Polish lady. And the only reason I remember that is because she was mean. Like, she was meaner than my grandma was. And I don't know if it's a Polish thing or something, but she was really mean. And, like, she would come in and she would spank us, too. Like, who spanks somebody else's kids?
Yeah. Like, so just whenever you get in trouble, or just if she sees you?
Yeah, my grandma would be talking to her, and she'd be like, oh, yeah, they've done this, this, and this. And look at them. They haven't even got their dishes done, and we had just walked in the door from school. So then she would just, I don't know what possesses someone to just go in and just handle up on somebody else's kids.
Jeez.
But actually, the funny part about that is it was her, so the Polish lady's daughter was our friend that we would tell everything to. So she kind of witnessed some of it too, and she was the one that told the teachers and got us out of that situation. Okay. So actually, now that I'm retelling the story, I wonder if she was abused too by her mother, and now I'm wondering what happened to her. Hopefully hopefully something good happened to her then. Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of like the earlier years, but
okay. So at what age do you remember, like, or how many foster, I guess, parents did you have?
I want to say it was about 3-ish.
3? So from 5?
It was from about 6 or 7.
6 or 7
until probably about 8 or 9-ish.
Okay.
So I want to say it was probably only about a year or two. And then my aunt, so my dad's sister, all these years had been looking for us. So actually, well, he had 2 sisters. They were both looking for us. And they finally found us. And they took us from that one abusive foster home. And she took us in, and she was married. And we thought we were saved. So we were like, yay, she was so sweet. Well, she was sweet most of the time. Well, in the beginning, you know, the honeymoon phase.
Yeah.
And she was really sweet, and her husband seemed sweet, and we were going through all the steps for them to adopt us. And we thought that we had finally found somewhere stable. It turns out she was cheating on her husband with her drug dealer. So they divorced, and my uncle talked me into staying with him, and then was telling us all these horrible things about her and made us think that we didn't want to move with her because she was a little mean. Like, she would tell me things like if I was acting up, God was going to strike me down with lightning. She didn't like me for some reason, which sounds terrible, but she was nice to my brother and sister. But she was real mean and said hateful things to me. So I was like, okay, I believed everything my uncle said because of all of that. Well, he had other plans for us, and that was the reason why he wanted us to stay. Because it was shortly after she moved out that I was 11, that he started sexually abusing me and my sister. And that lasted for 5 years. And it was like almost an everyday thing. Until he had started dating one of his coworkers. So I guess she was fulfilling his needs.
So from 11 to 16?
Yes. And then it slowed down whenever he started dating her, but it didn't completely stop. I was telling a friend about everything that was happening. She asked me if she could talk to her mom about it, if I'm remembering correctly. Everything's a little fuzzy. Because I remember her mom asking me, hey, I've heard some things are going on with you at home. Are you comfortable sharing with me? And so I was telling her what was going on, and she was like, well, would you like to come live with us? Let's see, we weren't adopted yet. We were still going through all of this stuff, and we had social workers coming in and out, and it was through Washington. So it was from Washington social workers to Louisiana, and when you have state to state, it takes a really, really long time. So we never fully got adopted, thankfully. So I was somehow, I don't even know how it all works, somehow I was able to just leave and move in with her. I don't know if the social workers knew.
16?
Yeah, at 16. And I don't know how it all works, but so I lived with her.
So from Washington to Louisiana.
Yeah. So I lived with her until I graduated, and she was a really nice lady. Helped like get my graduation pictures, prom, paid for all of that, paid for my cap and gown, and she was really there for me, her and her family. She had 2 daughters, and she was married, and they were all really there for me to help me kind of work through everything, and she was real understanding and stuff. And then I've eventually most foster kids end up just aging out before they're ever even adopted. Mm-hmm. So I just aged out at 17, 18 is when they a lot of times they don't even have stuff set up for you.
Yeah.
And it may be different now to where they kind of help you into society and get your own house and all that kind of stuff. But I was pretty much just out in the wild all on my own with no skills because nobody ever taught me anything, how to do just basic skills, cleaning and cooking and how to be a proper mom. Yeah. So I've had to learn all that on my own.
So at 17, that's when the foster, I guess, system, they're like, okay, you're on your own now. Like basically they just let you go.
Yeah. And there's supposed to be stuff set up. Maybe it's because it was state to state, so I don't know why they didn't transfer it over to Louisiana. Like I said, I don't really know any of the details of how they work it out.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of back and forth from state to state communication, and we kind of just got dropped off. But my brother, that's one part I skipped. He was back in Washington, back in foster care, because he did tell them and try to get us all out of that situation with my uncle. And he told them what was going on with him because he was being sexually abused too. So the social workers, I remember the one from Washington did come back here to Louisiana to talk to us all about it. And Timothy was already gone at this point. They had already taken him out of the home. But they asked us if we knew anything about it, and I lied, which was mostly because of selfish reasons, because I really liked my friends and stuff that I had here, and I didn't want to go back to Washington and change everything again, because I was tired of moving. I was tired of meeting new people, moving in with new families, and I was like, okay, I can just endure this for a little bit longer, and I can move out. And they were like, are you sure nothing is happening? Because we can get you out of this situation if you just tell us something's happening. And I was like, no, none of this. I don't know what he's talking about. I've never seen any of that happening. Partially because I was scared, too, of my uncle. Because he's like a 6 foot something, really big guy with lots of tattoos. And I don't know, he was really intimidating. So I was like, no, none of that's happening.
So he was also abusing your brother?
Yes. In other ways, without going into too much detail for him, he would make him watch inappropriate adult films and sit beside him while he was doing that. And that's about all I know of what he did with him, because that was just one thing that he had told me. But he witnessed some of it because he had walked in the bedroom sometimes whenever my uncle was abusing me. And then it was so awkward for him. And I know he was, and now I'm going to start crying. But, hold on.
You're good.
I know he felt helpless too because he's the older brother. I should be able to help, but he couldn't. And then I feel guilty. I feel guilty now because
behind you. I'm sorry. There you go.
He did try to help us, and now I feel bad because I did lie. And eventually that led to us not being able to keep in touch with each other. And this is, there we go. Let me try and work a tissue box. And so him and I had stopped talking for a while because of that. Because I don't know. I feel guilty because he couldn't help in the moments, but he tried to help later, and then I didn't let him help because I was being selfish, I guess.
Have you told him any of this yet?
No. He was gone for a long time, so him and I have never really been that close, and come to find out, he ended up being homeless after he got out of foster care. And somehow, I guess they shipped him like he's cargo or something. I guess they sent him back to Louisiana because somehow he got back here after he aged out. So again, they didn't really have very much set up for us. They just sent him over here, and he ended up being homeless here in, I want to say it was here in the Bossier area. What's that town? Anyways, some other little town over, and they found him under a bridge. Wow. And he had been, like, breaking into people's houses to eat, which he's, like, the nicest. I laugh about it now, and I joke with him. I was like, you are the nicest homeless man who breaks into somebody's house, because he was telling us the story about how he went in there to grab a sandwich. And he was like, but I made sure I cleaned up.
up.
I washed the dishes, even some extra dishes, and all of that. So I'm like, they were probably like, came home and was like, who washed these dishes?
Yeah. But where's my sandwich?
Yeah, right. I was like, you're the nicest homeless man ever. But I was mad because he didn't contact me to tell me, you know, that
Is he still here?
Yeah, he's here now.
Okay.
He lives in Minden now, actually, because we went and got him from the place he was living after he was homeless. There was a organization in that area that helped him get back on his feet. But he was about to lose his job. Logansport, that's the name of the town.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of stuff was shutting down in that area, and he was about to lose his job because his place was shutting down. His work was shutting down. So we went and we got him, and then he moved in with us for a little while. So we were kind of able to reconcile there a little bit, but him and I don't really talk about anything that goes on. It's really awkward between the two of us when it comes to talking about what we went through as kids.
I bet, yeah. After high school, what did you end up doing?
Well, I had moved in with my friend. So it was the one whose mother had taken me in. She was engaged and she had her own place. And so I moved in with her for a little while. And then when she was ready to start a family, I had to find my own place. Well, I was working a job that didn't really pay very much, so it was hard finding somewhere that was affordable. And I ended up starting to hang out with the wrong crowd. And that is where I met my oldest daughter's dad.
Mm-hmm.
And he was abusive also because growing up, you know, I didn't understand what a healthy relationship or healthy love should have been. So boys weren't ever really interested in me in high school. And I was just like, oh, okay, here's somebody who's interested in me. And so I kind of just took it.
Yeah.
And then he was very big narcissist. So, like, everything was my fault. He loved talking me down. He was just rude, just mean, always saying hateful things to me. And then he had 3 kids himself. And then 2 of them, none of them lived with him. And that should have been red flag number 1. But it wasn't.
Yeah.
I looked over that. Yeah.
Blinded by love.
Yeah. And so one of his youngest lived with her mom, and then the older 2 lived with their grandmother, so his mother. And he was 10 years older than me, and I was 19. So actually, no, I was 18.
Wow.
18 and 28. I guess that one should have been red flag number 1, but it wasn't. And so there's no way I could be a 28-year-old and be interested in an 18-year-old.
Yeah, it's like when you're looking back now, right? It's like, wow, that was wrong.
Yeah.
How long were you with him for?
We were together for 4 years. 4 years too many. And it got so bad though that we were just always yelling at each other because he was doing drugs, he was partying, he was leaving me at the house with his kids on the weekends whenever he had his kids. And he would leave for days on end. And of course he didn't have a job, so he didn't have minutes on his phone. So I was just like left at the house by myself. I didn't have a job because he had moved me way out into the country with no vehicle. So he was like isolating me. And basically I was made to just be the babysitter and the house cleaner.
The homekeeper.
Yeah. So like he had tried isolating me from family, friends, and all of that, and kind of just took me out into the country and just would run off and hang out with his teenage friends as an almost 30-year-old.
Yeah.
Like,
What was your breaking point? Like, what made you realize, okay, I don't want this anymore?
well, things had started to get physically abusive, and this was after I had had my daughter. She was about 2. And he would hit me, and then I would hit him back because I was hit my whole childhood, and now I'm big enough to stand
Fight
up for
back.
myself and fight back. And if you're going to hit me, I'm going to hit you back.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to make it easy on you. You're not just going to use me as your punching bag. And so it got to the point where even when his kids were around, he was hitting me. And then I noticed a change in my 2-year-old's behavior. She was starting to get more of those rages, I guess, where she was, which a lot of it's also 2-year-old behavior, tantrums. But I don't know. It was just, I was like, this isn't right. She's kind of picking up on all the negative energy that is in this house. She's seeing the way he's behaving. His kids are behaving that way too. They had no respect for me because he wouldn't allow me to discipline them any. And so I was like, you know what? I refuse to have a daughter that is going to go through the same things that I went through when I was a kid. She wasn't being abused, but I refused to have her see her mom get abused, and her dad was getting abused too because I was hitting him.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is very unhealthy. And then I got to thinking about how whenever I was in the 6th grade, we were in a health education class, and we were talking about mental health, and then we were talking about child abuse and how the cycle has to be broken because the abused usually becomes the abuser.
Yeah.
And that just randomly popped in my head. And I was like, you know what? It's time to break this cycle. And I'm done. I refuse to do any of this. And I told him, because I was the one who was working and I was the one who was paying the bills, it's time for you to leave, pack up your stuff, and I want you gone this weekend. Which, of course, a couple months later, he ends up crying, and I'm terrible when people come and cry. And I'm a big people pleaser.
Yeah.
That's like one of my faults. Is I'm like, okay, you can move back in.
You just
but
have a big heart.
yeah, I was like, but things are going to be different this time. Naive. I know it's not going to be different, but I'm hoping it's going to be different.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I just want somebody to love me. Nobody's ever loved me. I want somebody to love me. And so I let him move back in. And it was 2 months later, I was like, look, you said you were going to change. You haven't changed. Hit the road. We're done. And he was out within a couple of days. I told him, I said, I want you to start packing right now, and I want you out of my house right now.
That's awesome.
And
So proud of you.
I never looked back. I didn't. And it wasn't short. It was shortly after that, which, so my ex had given me a hard time about this, that I had found my now husband, like 2-3 months afterwards. And I was like, look, I was done with you long time ago. All my love for you was just gone. You were just a man that lived in my house, and you were hardly even there. So I'm sorry if your feelings are hurt.
Yeah.
And so we're married now and very happy.
Nice.
As happy as you can be. Nothing's ever perfect, but
Wait, so you met another?
yeah,
Okay.
my
How-
husband, and he's the one that I have the 3 kids with and that we're married now.
Okay.
So I met him shortly after all of that.
How did you guys end up meeting?
We actually went to the same high school together, but he graduated a year before me, and we never talked. He was interested in his, they weren't married yet, but it was ended up being his first wife.
Okay.
So they were high school sweethearts, and he tells me now, I used to try and talk to you in high school, but you would ignore me. And I was like this very, very shy girl, like, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
Especially when it came to boys. I was like, did you just talk to me?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? So I was like, are you sure? He was like, yeah, you were a little rude to me. And I was like, I never remember you ever talking to me.
Yeah.
And so it's funny now that we're married, because I don't remember him at all. I remember him being that guy that was hung out on the opposite side of the little pavilion and never talked to me. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm talking to you now, though.
Yeah. That's amazing, though.
But
So now that, you know how like earlier you said you were trying to break the cycle or you want to break the cycle, what are some things that you are doing to...
well, I'm trying to take the gentle parenting approach, which a lot of people think that that's just a whole lot of just babying. And it's not necessarily babying. It's like changing the way you approach situations, like rewording it, going in after you're finally calmed down in high stressful situations, or just walking away when you feel yourself at your breaking point, which that one took me, and I'm still working on it. It's hard. Like, kids are rough.
Yeah.
They could be really mean, and they could throw some fits, and I get overstimulated very easily. So I'm trying to communicate with my kids, hey, mama's starting to, like, this is where my level is. We're above my head, and I'm about to go crazy.
Yeah.
So how about we all take a break, go to your rooms, and let me calm down, and let you calm down, and then we can come back and we can address the situation when everybody's calm, nobody's crying, and we can figure this out together. But like I said, it doesn't always work. I still yell more than I should. It's hard figuring it out.
Yeah.
Our generation,
Learning.
I feel like, is also, our eyes are more open.
Open, yes.
Because of social media and the internet. I mean, we have so many resources with just therapists. Like, I joke that TikTok is my therapist because there's so many therapists on there and people
Yes.
who their profession is to help other parents learn how to be better parents. And there's so much that I've learned that's opened my eyes. And wow, I never even thought about that. Like, sometimes you forget what it's like to be a kid. I was the middle child, but my brother, he was less mature than I was. And so since we didn't have a mother figure, I kind of took on that role. So I had to become grown at a very young age. And like you said, I didn't have anyone to teach me the right way to parent.
Yes.
And the right way to handle my emotions. And it was just all rage. It was just...
Yeah.
There was no coping. If you cried, you got hit. If you showed any emotions, you got hit.
Or get thrown something.
Yeah. Or told to shut up.
Yelled at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so that's one thing that I too try to do with my kids. Like, it might sound terrible, but sometimes I let them go to their room and I let them slam their door and just go in there and just scream because they need to get those emotions out. And it's okay. It's not hurting me. My door's not going to fall off the hinges, hopefully. I mean, if they get a little excessive over it, I have to wait till I calm down before I go in there. And I'm like, all right, this is getting to be too much.
Yeah.
Breathe, calm down. And then whenever you're ready, you can come out of your room.
Yeah.
And so I let them kind of try and regulate it themselves. I'm still learning on how to teach them how to regulate it outside of just like the breathing and stuff. But I feel like that's still one step further than what I was taught.
A really
good
job.
Go to your room, slam your door, scream.
Scream.
Scream
Punch
all
the
you want in
wall.
there.
We'll replace it. We'll replace the door.
Now, my walls,
Whatever.
though, it might hurt. Punch the wall, but it might be the only time you do it because you're probably going to bruise your knuckles because we have those old wood paneling.
Oh, yeah.
So those things are hard.
Yeah.
you can punch the wall all you want, but you might regret it.
I feel like it'll help them calm down, too. Yeah, I grew up with 6. I'm the oldest one, 7 kids. So
Oh, wow. You grew up in a big family then.
a big family. So, like, I just remember coming home from school, and then my mom would bring in a carrier with a baby.
Oh.
And I'm like, when were you pregnant?
I kind of feel like that's what I did to my oldest daughter. So I waited 5 years after she was born before I had my second daughter, and then it was just like bam, 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 3 babies after that. But I mean, she kind of loved it because she's a little not that I've made her do motherly things, but
yeah.
there's just like that's her personality. She loves it, and she would just come in and she would be like, "Do you need help?"
Oh.
And then she would just do stuff on her own, and she would get excited with every little baby. But then I also feel guilty because I have mom guilt, lots of mom guilt, which what mom doesn't have mom guilt?
Yeah.
But I feel like I just have a lot of it. And I'm like, did I kind of take her childhood away and give her less attention by having 3 babies in, let's see, how was it? It was, second one was born in 2017. The third one was born in 2021. So in those 17, 18, 19, 20, so 5 years, I guess that sounds a little bit better, but it was still really, really quickly.
Yeah.
Because the middle 2 kids are only 16 months apart. So I kind of feel guilty about taking a little bit of that attention away and then having 4 kids. And now I'm like, what have I done? I was in that phase where I was like, they're just so cute.
Yeah,
They're just so sweet.
want
Let's have
more and-
another.
yeah.
And now they're like,
At
let's see,
least she
yeah.
enjoys it, because I was the total opposite. My mom would tell me, you need to take care of your siblings. I'm like, why? They're
Yeah.
not my kids.
I don't
You know,
want to do this.
Yeah, exactly. But at least she's willing to help, and she enjoys it.
Yeah.
So
And so even whenever other people come over, then they bring their little babies.
Yeah,
She
and then
turns
she's
into
just-
the free babysitter that you didn't even know you needed. She's like, hey,
I
come
love
here, little
that.
baby. Follow me
Yeah.
around. I love you.
I love that. So, okay, so earlier you were talking about you just recently became a doula.
Mhm.
Tell me about that.
So a doula is a person that comes in, so a birth doula. We'll start with birth doula because there's many, many different doulas. They come in while the mother is pregnant, and we provide emotional support and help you get ready to give birth. So there's lots of techniques that you can do to kind of engage baby in your pelvis to get baby where he or she needs to be, to help shorten your birth or your labor, and then going over different positions that you can do while you're in labor, and just give support, whether that be through a C-section or with an epidural or naturally or at home. And then just try and be that person that can provide resources for you. So like if you need a lactation consultant, I can help you find that. If you're the type of person that just loves all the information, and like I help you get everything that you need to know, that because it's different for every woman. So I go over like a list of things, and they check it off of what they want to learn and what they want to know. And so I'll get all the resources and all the information together for them, and we'll go over it with the client in our prenatal visit. So we'll go over laboring positions, pain management, a little touch on childbirth education, because that's like a whole nother thing. You can find like a childbirth educator to go in it real in depth with you, but I try to focus on just like the things that you need to be informed, so you can make decisions on your own. And because a lot of times if you're giving birth like in a hospital, they don't really tell you why they're doing anything. They're just
Yeah.
like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I know me personally, I was afraid to go against or question anything that they said. And I honestly didn't know there was any other way that you could do it, that you even had a choice in the way that you wanted your birth to be.
Pretty much trusted them
Yeah.
because they're the professional.
Yeah. And they can be a little pushy too. So encourage you to find your voice and not to be afraid to say something. And if you are afraid to say something, let me know and I can step in and I can say it for you. Hey, this isn't what she wants.
That's awesome.
And then so I'm there for hands-on support during labor if that's what the client wants. I don't want to take away from your birthing partner, whether that be your husband or your mother or something. So I teach them also how to be that hands-on support and that emotional support. And then like I step into whenever I'm needed. And then I have a client now who doesn't want me to be in there while she's physically pushing, which I'm okay with. This is your birth. I'll do whatever you want. You just tell me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Kick me out whenever. Bring me back in whenever you want. And I'm just going to make sure that you're fully ready, your birth partner's fully ready, and y'all can go in and y'all can have the birth that y'all want. And then there's the other side is postpartum doula, which is where I come in after you've given birth and I help you with household chores. If you need me to go pick up your groceries for you, I can do that. I can hold baby and do basic newborn care while you go take a nap or you go take a shower so you can recover and you can be the best mom that you can, because it's hard getting that sleep, and then you're delirious and it's hard to keep up with all of it and being a new mom, especially if you have other kids too. So I can help do sibling care as well, meal prep, meal planning, just basically anything that you need help with after. I can do, and then I make sure, I don't take care of any of the medical side of it. So that's the difference between a doula and a midwife.
Okay.
A midwife does the medical stuff and really focuses on that. So I do make sure that you're healing right, and if you're having complications, like if you tore, I can tell you how to get some relief with that, and then check for the signs of postpartum depression, because as a mom, you're busy and sometimes you don't notice the signs until it's too late and you're already just so overwhelmed. So I can help you find resources for that. And then, like I previously said, if you're having trouble breastfeeding, if you choose to breastfeed, I can find you a lactation consultant and pretty much just use me as the person to figure everything out and find it all for you and just help you in any way that you can, or any way that I can, any way that you need help.
That's awesome. So I know there's going to be a few people, or probably a lot of people, that's going to be interested in your services. Are you working for a company, or are you your own? Are you just an independent?
Independent
contract. Okay, cool.
And Louisiana is so far behind with maternal care.
Yeah.
In the Asian culture, you're automatically set up with everything that you need after you give birth.
Yep.
You automatically have someone that comes into your home and you are treated like a princess. They have so many rules. You don't clean, you don't cook, you don't do any of this stuff after you give birth. You have somebody that automatically just comes in and does it all for you. And and we don't have that there. And here in this area, just from what I've been looking at and talking to other doulas, we don't even have very many postpartum doulas. So there's so many women that are just left to just figure it out all on their own.
Yeah. If anybody's interested in your service, they just contact you.
Yes.
Do you have a business page?
I have a Facebook page. I don't have a website yet. It's Tabitha Smith, Louisiana Doula on Facebook. And on there I have all my information of how to contact me, and through email or through my phone number is also listed on there, and then just through Facebook Messenger. And you can get in touch with me and we can talk about what you're looking for and we can figure out a package for you. I've always been passionate about all things birth and motherhood, and I just want to just show my love and just, I don't know. Like, I get so excited about it that my brain goes faster than my words. And I'm just like, I don't even know how to explain to you how passionate I am about this and just how much excitement it brings me. And, like, I love talking about all of it. I can talk your head off about it forever. You can message me whenever you want. That's what I tell my clients. I'm like, I joke with them. I have no life. Message me whenever you want. You're not messaging me too much. I love when you come and you ask me questions and you ask me all these things. So
that's awesome. So with everything that we talked about, is there any message that you want to put out for the people that probably went through the same thing as you did, you know, early on in your childhood?
Just try not to be too hard on yourself. You're figuring this out all on your own. And then just try to talk to a therapist. That's like one of the biggest things. Like, you're going to need help from other people to help you work through everything that you've gone through and how to cope with it and how to move on with your life, and they can find you any other resources that you may need. Don't feel guilty if you have to be put on depression or anxiety medicine. It took me a long time to even get on any, just because I was like, I don't know, there's a stigma, you know, behind medicine and mental health, which I feel like it's starting to kind of now become less of a bad stigma. But yeah, don't be hard on yourself. If you're a mother, no mom is perfect. You're going to figure it out. And if you're feeling guilty at the end of the day, that just means that you love your kids enough that you just, you know, you are aware that, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. Like, if you feel guilty, that means you care enough. Like, if you're worried about whether you're being a good mom, you're a good mom.
Yeah.
Like, and you're not going to be perfect. It's, kids are hard. Kids are mean.
Life is hard. Yeah.
Life is hard. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs. It's going to be a roller coaster, and just kind of try to enjoy the ride as much as you can, and just take a deep breath and relax, and you'll get through this, especially if you let other people help you get through it. There's going to come times where it's going to be hard, and you're going to have flashbacks, and you're going to have PTSD over things that you didn't even realize were going to, just simple things. Like, I was walking through the grocery store one day, and there was a guy who looked almost exactly like my uncle. And I just broke down, and I was like, I know he's not here, because now I know he's out of state. But it's still, you're going to have hard times, but you will get through it if you just seek help if you need help. That's one of the biggest things, because there's a lot of kids who have gone through it and they don't seek help. They don't have anyone to help them. Kids in foster care are more likely to not graduate, more likely to not go to college. And actually, I was just looking at the statistics on it, and I don't remember what the statistics are, but there was a high percentage of inmates that have gone through foster care. So the world is against us, and it's not set up to help us, really. I mean, there's help out there, but I feel like there's still so much to learn, and there's just so much more that can be done. So don't be afraid to seek help if you need help, because it's out there somewhere, but... Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for telling your story and coming here and spending the time with me.
Oh, yeah.
And I really appreciate you.
I was excited. I tried not to just go around and around and be all confusing, but there was a lot.
Yeah.
So I try to kind of just hit the main points. But yeah. I appreciate you having me.
Yes, I think you did.
I love telling my story.
Yes, and I love.
And I hope it can help somebody. and they can relate to it, and they can realize they're not alone, and they will get through it, and life does get better. You may not think it does, but it will get better, because I'm pretty happy with the way that my life's going. There was one point where I didn't think that it was going to get any better, and it does. So it just may be a little bit harder.
But you went through it.
Yeah.
And now you're starting a whole career.
Yes.
And you're going to do so well.
And I still can't believe it. I was actually thinking about that on the way here. I was like, wow, I'm a doula.
Yes.
Look at me go. Like,
own it.
Everybody told me that I was just going to be nothing. And here I am, what I feel like is a great mom, and learning to overcome everything. And I am getting out there, and I'm proud of myself.
You should be.
And it's taken a lot to be proud of myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Tearing up over here just thinking about everything. Like, wow, I really did that.
You did. That is amazing. Again, thank you so much for being here.